So now, before starting off your workpiece, we have provided you with 4 colors. One is sandstone. This is for your sanding part of the beach. Then you have an aquamarine. Then you have an ultramarine blue, and then you have a white. Now, how do you use them is that you take 2 to 3% of the whole resin that you have. Like you need like teeny tiny amount of pigment in with you. So these are new bottles. I have the same uh, colors in bigger bottles which I use daily. So I'm going to open them and not. I'm just going to show you how to use it. You just have to open it and the color is there. You just have to pick a teeny tiny amount that you require for your work and you can shut it off. Now these colors do not dry. They are like they have a very good life. They won't dry for another 2 to 3 years. So they have a really good life. Even if you keep them in open, they don't dry. But of course, you have to maintain a good life. You should keep it off and to not let it get filled with dust. So as you can see, those are the same colors, and the thing that shit. मैं दोबारा करूँगी. उसकी कैमरा की बैटरी चार्ज हो गई है क्या? वैसे ठीक है, जब मैं रेजन का काम करूँगी ना तब वो काम आ जाएगा, अभी उसी को लगे रहने देते हैं, ठीक है. सो नाउ आई एम गोना वेयर माई ग्लव्स बिकॉज आई एम गोना स्टार्ट विद द proper resin work. My canvas is primed. Now I'm just going to wear. These are nitrile powder free gloves. I use them because they don't have powder. They're good for your skin and they do not do anything bad, but these have to be disposed once you use them in your resin work. So these are my own aquamarine pigments, and I'm just going to So this is sandstone. As you can see, it's almost off, and this is a normal white. So I have my 4 colors. I have my okay. So the amount of pigment I'm going to take is this much. Like I've just dipped. That is the amount I require. Same is with my sandstone. If I feel that the intensity of my color is not fine, I can add a little more color with a new popsicle, not with these popsicles which are already in your resin, because then the whole pigment will get resonated and then of course it will not be used. So you see that the amount of pigment that you have is 30 grams, and I'm not even using 1% of the whole jar, right? So in my smaller cup I'm going to use a white, because white is the minimum, I require white in the minimum quantity, but in a good ratio, right? So that's the ratio I've taken. So I'm going to just keep them aside so that So I'm just going to keep them aside. So I have my hand sanitizer, I have my shells. So I can just keep them aside because my color work is done. So it is really required before you start mixing your resin, you should know which colors you want to do and in what proportions you want to do. So for beach art, as we know that we are going to take like an ultramarine blue, then an aquamarine and a sandstone, and then we're going to use white for lacing and making waves. So this is not dried right now. This is still a bit wet. So we're going to wait for another 2 minutes. I have all my shells in a cup so that it's easy to pick them when I'm working. I will have tissues ready with me. so that I don't need to hassle here and there while I'm working. And for the beginning, I will now work on my resin. So make sure that when you're working with your straw, you do not get your resin hands above this 3 lines. It has your hands will be dirty and you will be taking the straw in your mouth, so you don't want any of the resin or pigmented resin to be there in your mouth. So make sure that the straw is clean. If it's not, then you have to take a new one. Okay, so this spoon and this cup is for your mixing of resin, and as you can see, it's a good quality plastic cup. So now this epoxy resin, if you are working in weight, then it has to be 5:3, that is 5 portion of A and 3 portion of B. And if you are working by volume, then it has to be 3:2, that is 3 of your A and 2 part of your B. Now every resin in the market comes in 2 parts, part A and part B, and every company has a different set of ratio which you will require to mix in order to use that resin for your painting. So make sure that you read the whole instructions, and if the instructions are not there, then you contact the company where you have bought and purchased the resin from and talk to them that how it needs to be mixed. It's okay to experiment on new kinds of resins, because every resin has a different quality, every resin has a different kind of mixing, every resin has a different kind of output to your pigments, to the techniques, and to the effects that you get in your artwork. So it's okay to experiment and explore what kind of resin suits you the best. I have provided a Brusto epoxy resin to you because it's easier to mix. The ratio can be a bit calculative, tricky, but I am there to guide you for the calculations. But yes, it is easier to mix. It mixes fast, so I think it would be I thought it would be much more appropriate to use this resin because I'm not there to guide you at your home while you're doing this, right? So now since this is of 2 parts, now this is a weighing scale.